what does it mean to see? Well, at the most basic level, what it means to be able to see is that I got yet another new prescription of my glasses so that you don't look like blobs of color, and when I put them on, I can literally physically see you here. So that is at the most basic level, what does it mean to see? It also could mean if you look at the divine ratio, and this only came to me when I was sitting there, and I used to know the divine ratio, like 2.67 or something, which you find throughout all of nature, and you realize, wow, God really is in everything. That could be also what it means to see. But in today's gospel, we've got a couple of other things going on. And hopefully I don't hit this more times than I need, because then it's going to give away what I'm doing. So let's see here. Play. Okay. Now I know we don't have two TVs. That one died to a lightning strike. But think for yourself for a moment. What do you think that is? Okay? Just see if in your head you have an idea of what that is. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you another image that is not magnified as much as that one. Does that help you figure out what that is? Anybody getting closer to what that might be? Well, yeah, you might have heard me working this out at home. Aiden did. But, okay, so now I'm going to completely zoom out of the image. And what you're looking at is a bee's eye. Now, what I noticed, there was actually a closer one than this, but if you look really closely, the actual cells in the eye are honeycomb shaped, and they make honeycombs in a honeycomb shape, which I found totally fascinating. It's one of the reasons I picked this image. But when you are looking really closely, you can't tell that that first image is a bee, but it is a part of a bee. Okay, so here is a second one here. What about this one? Some of you might have been able to recognize this from middle school or high school science class. Any ideas? Think in your head what that could be. Okay, here's zoomed out. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out even more. It's a tree trunk, and it's actually from our tree out here in our yard. So yeah, you've got the cells of the bark, and then you've got the bark, and then you zoom out, and you actually have the tree. You actually have the tree. So what does it mean to see? What does it mean to see? It probably makes some of us think of the phrase that I know I heard from my parents. You can't see the forest for the trees. Yes, meaning you're so focused on one specific thing that you can't see the bigger picture. And you can't see the forest for the trees. So now we've got two opposing things going on in our gospel today, because we have this blind man whose whole life is confined into one very limited, small, dark place. Because not only can he physically not see, he is also, as you've heard many times from other stories, considered an outcast in society because, again, remember, in this day, people think that if you have some kind of illness, disease, injury, disability, that God is punishing you or has been punishing your family for something that was done, some sin that was done. And so you are considered an outcast. You cannot have a right relationship relationship with God because of whatever the sin is, and people don't want it to literally rub off on them. And so he's not only in a dark world, but he is in a limited world socially and in lack of community, because he would only have his immediate family, if that. And in this story, we at least know, yes, he still has his parents, because they do go with the Pharisees when they are asked. Okay, so he has a blindness that is very limiting. And so when he gains his sight, not only can he physically see what is going on, but it opens up for him all those things that he had really never had. Community, acceptance, a relationship with God, in the eyes of other people, as well as the ability to maybe have a job, a family, and to be able to support himself and to live a productive life in society. So his world went from very small to much bigger. Then we got the Pharisees. Now they have physical sight, but their physical sight is very small as well. For them, maybe it's like they're a small little cluster of trees together. And even though they can see each other and they can say, well, we've done everything to be right with God, on their little checklist, they are so focused on their view of the world that they are not able to see the forest either. All they can see is themselves. All they can see is themselves. They are so focused on their way of knowing the world. It is so rigid and firm of a box that they are in, that they are not able to see how they could make a difference to help those who are hurting, those who are in pain, those who are suffering in their community, in the world around them. Because their focus is all on themselves. So their blindness looks different, but it is no less confining than what the blind man lived in when he had no vision at all. Now, the big difference between the two is that the blind man was able to see possibilities. He was willing, you could say, to think outside the box. He was willing to consider other options. And therefore, his world just got bigger. Notice, and I love this part in our gospel reading, is that after everything was said and done, and he went through that circus of being challenged by the Pharisees, they cast him out anyway. Somebody who shouldn't have been cast out anymore because he had his vision, he was cast out of the synagogue. And what did Jesus do? This is one of the only times we hear that Jesus actually heard that the man had been cast out and then went to find him and went to him. And made sure that the man was not only okay, but could put the pieces together to see the whole forest or the world for the tree that he had once been confined to. So, what does it mean to see? Are we so focused on our world, on our little life, on how we see and know things, that we are confining ourselves to a microscopic view of God's gifts and possibilities for us? And if we are, how do we zoom out to see a bigger picture and to see more than what we know? When I was in a psychology class in college, it was like a basic psych class, and we were discussing how do you know what you know, or to be able to think about how you think. And so that the professor gave us this image, and this will date me, but I'm going to use it because it's what's implanted in my head. Think of an eraser, okay? Like in your mind, you're holding an eraser. Examine in your head that eraser. What does the eraser look like? Okay? Now, imagine that eraser is the biggest object in the world, and you are standing next to it. Take a moment in your mind's eye. Imagine that eraser is the biggest object in the world, and you are standing next to it. What does that feel like as you examine this object that you are standing next to? Now, harder still, take that eraser and imagine that it is everything. It is the world, and you are now within that eraser. And look around you. What is that like? And then when you're ready, zoom back out to the eraser in your hand. How we think about things and how we look at things, or how we see them, can define and determine the possibilities that we see. And it can direct us into directions that we go. So, how do we see? And what does it mean to see? And as a person and as a parish, are we seeing in a way that allows all of God's possibilities and gifts for us to be made known? Amen.
Amen.